Hi, yeah, it's Jackie here from the LGFA on another Zoom call today, and I'm very happy to be joined by three of our leading players to discuss their respective TG4 Championship draws and the fixtures which were recently announced. So bottom right, I have Neamh Woods, captain of Tyrone. Bottom left, I have Laura Hogan, who is Wicklow captain, and vice captain of Louth is up on the top left-hand side of my screen, Shannen McLaughlin. Ladies, how are you doing on this lovely sunny afternoon? All good?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Excellent. Good to have you on. Neamh, I'll kick off with your good self. You have got uh, Armagh and Mayo. So, nice, tasty group there. I remember the game you played against Mayo in the group stages last year. Absolutely phenomenal game. You were unlucky to come out just on the wrong end of it. What are your thoughts on this group? Many might call it a group of death, although we've heard that phrase bandied about quite a bit, Neamh.
It's a very competitive group. I think all three teams will be looking at it in the same way, and that probably on any given day, any team could win really. I know the last time we met Armagh would have been in the National League earlier this year, and we won that game by 2 points. We know ourselves anytime ourselves and Armagh meet, there's never an awful lot between the two teams, and I've no doubt in the championship it'll be something similar again. As regards Mayo, then the last time you've already mentioned there, the two sides met last year in the group stages of the All Ireland Championship, and there were 3 points separated the teams, and Mayo obviously won on that occasion. So we'll certainly be looking forward to those two games. And as I said previously, it's a very competitive group. All three teams on their day could win any of the matches, and so it's definitely a very exciting prospect in Group 4.
Absolutely, yeah, really looking forward to that. In the intermediate championship, Shannon, you're coming up as junior champions from last year, which was a very nice achievement. Great day at Croke Park, and you've been pitted in Group 2 with Leinster teams, two Leinster teams as
Yeah.
well, Longford and Westmeath. Westmeath obviously coming down from the senior ranks last year. Not a simple group either, Shannon.
No, it was a tough group. I think all groups in intermediate are quite tough. Like I think all teams are of a similar standard, and it'll just be good to be competing at a higher level this year. And just with the start of the year there, with the whole pandemic, like it wasn't looking like we were going to get any football. So it's great that we're actually going to get out and back with the county and stuff. As you were saying, like Westmeath are an extremely tough team, and they're only after coming down from senior. So it'll be a great challenge for us. Longford was actually one of my first games at Laid when the last time we were in intermediate, so it'll be nice to play against them and see how they've come on, and ourselves how we've progressed as well as a county.
Yeah, a little bit of history repeating there for you, all right, Shannon. And Laura, for
Yeah.
yourselves, it's Carlow and Fermanagh, so nothing simple in that group either.
No, definitely not. I think Fermanagh will probably be a lot of people's favourites for the junior, because they were in the All Ireland final last year and they have some really strong players on their squad. And also, like Carlo, I don't think any team in the junior is actually going to be an easy match. I think every team has their strengths and they're all going to be equally tough games. I suppose we're kind of probably happy enough to get Carlo in terms of it's not too far for either team to travel. But Fermanagh, I think we have to go to Fermanagh maybe, so that'll be a bit of a trek for us, and obviously home advantage, at any level, is hugely beneficial for a team. So that'll be definitely a huge game and a very challenging game for us.
I think we're looking at neutral venues, so
Oh,
that might be of some consolation anyway, Laura,
yeah,
when we get down to
hopefully,
business, which
that
is
would definitely be a little bit better. All right.
absolutely. Laura, just after coming down from intermediate, there must be a very strong determination within your bunch to get right back up there and as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we know, there's a few of us that are still involved from the last time we won the All Ireland, so we
Yes.
know. It's not an easy place to get out of. There's very little between the teams in the junior, and there's very little between the standard, I suppose, of junior and stepping up to intermediate. So obviously we want to get back up as soon as possible, but we know it's not going to be easy. There's a lot of good teams in the junior grade, so we'll have our work cut out for us.
Yeah, I wish you all well. Neamh, how was this pandemic and everything that's been associated with it? I know in your line of work, I'm sure it was a big upheaval and a big change. How have you managed to cope with everything, Neamh?
I suppose it's probably just been like everybody else. You just had to, you had to manage, you had to cope, and you had to learn as you were going along. I suppose in my world of work, obviously I'm a teacher, so it was very much that pupils and teachers were both learning, we're both along the same path. We obviously reverted to online learning, so definitely we were all upskilled as we went along, and yes, it wasn't ideal. We managed. The students were still receiving their work. There was still teaching happening, but I suppose there's nothing that compares to having the people in front of you in the classroom with regards to teaching and learning. And hopefully, fingers crossed, come September, and we will be back in the classroom again. It hasn't obviously been ideal, but we've managed, and we've learned along the way as well.
What do you think the new normal is going to look like, Neamh? And we've had many teachers on in recent weeks, and there's, I guess there's still a little bit of uncertainty. I've my own small boy; he's going to start in primary school quite soon, and it would be lovely to think that he would go into an environment where everything is pretty much as it should be, or was prior to all of this happening.
Yeah, well, I suppose at the minute the new normal is still going to have social distancing. I think at the minute maybe it's down to 1 metre within our schools or education, but I suppose it depends on the size of your building and the size of your school. I know in my school in St. Kieran's and Ballygally we have over 800 people, so to
Wow.
have 100% capacity on any given day with social distancing is certainly not possible. So it's just, I suppose, keeping an eye on the guidelines to see what the recommendations are, and doing what we can then to try and make it as normal as we possibly can for students returning. In an ideal world, we would have all the students back to school, obviously, 5 days a week, every week. But the reality of it is that probably won't be the case for that first term, and who knows, that could change obviously between now and then as well. So we just really have to play it by ear and put the necessary structures in place as we see it.
Okay, we wish you well, Neamh. Laura, what has life been like for you, and what are you doing with yourself?
Yeah, good. I'm the same. I'm a secondary school teacher,
Yeah.
so on holidays at the moment. But trying to get used to the online learning, it was very much a learning experience for teachers and students, I suppose. But same as Neamh, we got through it, and there was teaching and learning happening. I hopefully we'll be back in September to our, as full a capacity as we can be, because I think we all, definitely have realised that it's much easier when you're in the class, and face to face is definitely a lot easier than online.
And I'm sure it's a challenge not only for teachers but for the kids as well, and the students. That, they need that one-to-one interaction when they can get it with their teachers.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be back anyway.
Good. Shannen, yourself, how are things in your world?
Yeah, I'm a PE and maths teacher, similar to the girls there, but as they were saying, it was extremely difficult to adapt to online learning. I was actually shocked with how well the kids done with it. They were nearly much better than we were, and they were like helpful and were really quick to ask questions and adapted really well to it. I think they adapted better than I did, but it'll be interesting to see what way September will pan out, and hopefully we'll be back to maybe as close to normal as possible. It'll be nice to be back into a classroom. I ran into a few students out and about, and it's good to see their faces.
Yeah, because it's been so strange. You're all three All-Ireland winners, which at intercounty level, which is a lovely something else that you have in common. We're finding out a lot here today. Shannen, what is it like to get your hands on an All-Ireland medal at Croke Park? What is that feeling like?
It was incredible. I still don't think I've got to grips with it just yet. And last year, my sister was actually with me on the panel, so it was great to do it with her. And even for ladies football in general, there's been a huge lift in the club scene as well. Just with the county doing so well, there's been more interest, especially with the underage, and in our club as well. The numbers have increased so much within the club with the girls football, just from seeing the county team doing well, and it's fantastic.
Absolutely. Neamh, you played in the 2010 All-Ireland Senior Final as well, which was a huge achievement for Tyrone to get there at the time, and then lifting an intermediate title as well in more recent times, and winning an All-Star and Player of the Year. Very, very nice period of time for you, Neamh.
Yeah, it certainly was. You mentioned the 2010 All-Ireland, there was a few of us, I suppose, still surviving from that particular team. When we played in the 2017 intermediate final, and then obviously then we moved on to win in 2018. I suppose for us, and that 2010 final was very much maybe like a baptism of fire. It was the first experience in Croke Park. Probably didn't really know what to expect, and obviously Dublin were a phenomenal team and ran out easy winners that day. And the same, I would imagine, might have contributed in 2017. It was a lot of players' first time in Croke Park and experiencing that All Ireland final day. And again, I think that took its toll. But by the time we reached the 2018 intermediate final, I suppose we didn't have that same level of nerves, or we weren't in any way anxious about the occasion. It was more so just about producing a performance which we knew we had, and returning to senior football, where we hope obviously Tyrone Ladies will stay for many years to come. And I can vouch for the underage structures within our county as well. A bit like Shannen was saying there, it's phenomenal how success really can impact on the younger players, both at club level and county level. When they see that success, they too aspire to get there as well. So hopefully long may that continue, and a wee bit more success along the way would be great.
Absolutely. Neamh, how pleased were you with last season in terms of, I thought Tyrone did terrifically well coming back up senior and more than holding your own and reaching an All-Ireland quarter-final as well. It was a really, really solid campaign to come back up and do so well.
Yeah, it definitely was. I suppose in Ulster Championship we lost out to Donegal. That was said in Breffni Park, and again it was a good game between the two teams. And I suppose the Ulster Senior Championship is extremely competitive. Every team on their day could win, which is a brilliant position to be in. It always prepares you so well then for the group stages at the All Ireland. And obviously then in the group games we lost out to Mayo, and then we defeated Donegal the second time round, which was amazing, and it was a fantastic result for Tyrone as well. That led us then to an All-Ireland quarter-final against Cork. Again, Cork played excellently that day, and definitely we learned an awful lot on that occasion. And I suppose for us, we are a very young senior team, and we would have learned a lot from that experience, and hopefully building that then heading into this year's championship. But we'll definitely have been happy with last year's performance, and I'm hoping to continue to build on that this year as well.
Yeah, very promising times ahead for Tyrone, Neamh, for sure. Laura, the Shannen and Neamh have touched on something there in terms of that All-Ireland final experience. I guess you can be as prepared as you can be, but nothing can prepare you fully for what lies in store when you hit that pitch on All-Ireland final day. Can you describe the experience and what it's like to do that for the first time?
Yeah, it's very kind of overwhelming kind of experience, because you you train and you can kind of be as prepared and have all your training done and your mental skills prepped done and all. I know it's a very overwhelming experience once you kind of hit Croke Park and hit the pitch. I know we were lucky enough that we managed to get a draw the first day in 2011, and we were lucky enough then the second day that we kind of had got that kind of nerves and those kind of feelings of overwhelmment out of us, that the second day we could just go out and just play football like we knew we could. And thankfully, we were lucky enough to be on the right side of the result on the second day.
Absolutely. Shannen, and to come back, and Neamh, you've had a similar experience when you lose one, to come back and win one. First of all, Shannen, how do you manage to process that initial disappointment and then find the hunger and the drive to go again? Is it what's happened to you the previous year? Is that what's driving you right throughout the next season to make sure that doesn't happen again?
As Laura was saying there, it is a very overwhelming experience. Like, you do go up and see Croke Park a couple of days before, and you do all your mental prep and run through the warm-up and do all those things, but I don't think anything sort of prepares you for walking out onto the pitch and seeing all the crowds and different things. So that day in 2 years ago, it was extremely overwhelming, and we didn't really show up. And I think that was the hunger we needed to go back last year, and really just we really needed to set ourselves. And Darren built the panel that year, and we really prepared. The league campaign was another disappointment for us, losing in the semi-final to Antrim. So we're sort of doubly hungry to try and get that win in Croke Park.
And to lose Micheál McKeown, and much loved figure along the way as well on that journey. Shannen, how did that affect everyone?
Yeah, well, Darren was very close to Micheál, so it was nice to have him there and knowing sort of what Micheál had wanted and his wishes. And Darren always reminded us how Micheál would be extremely proud of us, and to sort of, there was always an element of it that we were sort of playing for Hull and in memory of him. So it was nice to have sort of someone looking down on us in Croke Park, knowing that too.
Absolutely. And if you can relate to that, to the feeling of losing one to going and winning it, then it's I presume the experience. I'm sorry, I've been joined by a little butterfly visitor in the room here as well. I presume the experience is just chalk and cheese. It's night and day. The emotions as well, Neamh. The difference between losing a final at Croke Park and coming back then to win one. It just must be a massive relief as well to get the job done second time.
Yeah, I definitely can't compare. There's, I suppose, complete devastation after losing an All-Ireland final, because you've obviously, like every other player, you've put everything into it, you've trained so hard, and I suppose you think that you are in a position to go on and win it. And then obviously then to try and overcome that disappointment, and it's just getting back to the training field, and as you say, even the motivation to get back up and going again, and making sure that everybody's back on board with the same motivation and hunger. I suppose we were very fortunate in that majority of our panel were there in 2018 as well, so it was the case that everybody then was building together and going back again together to try and go a step further. I suppose we simply didn't need any additional motivation, because we just felt that we obviously needed to be back in senior football, and that's where we wanted Tyrone Ladies to be, and there was a massive collective effort to ensure that we went I suppose that one step further the second time round. But I suppose the emotions and the celebrations and that after winning All Ireland, something that will certainly last with me a lifetime. And it is hard to describe. It's just a phenomenal feeling, and it was fantastic for us collectively as a group to help bring Tyrone back to senior football.
Yeah, absolutely. Laura, for yourself, you're back, you were back playing a bit of club. You've had a little setback along the way. How are you, and what happened?
Yeah, no, good. It's great to be back with the club, and it's great to get all the girls back together and get out on the pitch. I just had a bit of a knee injury, in our first challenge game, but I'm hoping that I'll be okay now come a few weeks' time when we've got our first round of championship. I'm not going to rule myself out anyway.
Good. I hope the tests and the scans come back clear anyway.
Yeah.
What's it like to be back, Laura, in general? It must be just such a good feeling, because I was just chatting to a couple of people earlier on about you might think that you're prepared going back, and you've done the remote training and done your 5Ks and whatever, and kept yourself ticking over, and then you go back into full scale training and some contact, and you're like, oops, what's going on here?
Yeah, I don't think anything prepares you for, I suppose, the morning after the tough training sessions, the physical sessions where you're getting shoulders or hard tackles, left, right and centre, and you're waking up with pains and bruises that you don't recognise. But it's fantastic to be back, and we've a great squad this year with us in Tinahely. Lots of younger girls coming through and pushing us all, pushing the older ones kind of nearly out the door. So it's really good to be back, and good to have that kind of competition and fighting for positions, which is where you want to be, because come the return of county in September, you want to be playing at your best, and if you have that competition within your own setup, then the games you're going to get throughout the championship are only going to improve you as well. So it's really good to be back.
Good. Shannon, how are all in now? You're back at it anyway. I saw some results coming through over the weekend.
Yeah, it's great. We had our first club game there, our league game on Sunday, so we got a win in with my own club, so it was great to get started on a good note. It's just great to be back and training and back into a routine, and as you said, it's nothing compared to all the remote training we were doing, which I thought I was flying doing my own training. And I got back on the pitch that first night, and we done one set of sprints, and I had to call it off.
And how's all in Tyrone? Neamh, you back with club?
Yeah, very much the same. Our club league started last weekend, and it's brilliant to be back, and not even obviously the football side of things, but even just the social side of things, and everybody, all the girls back together again, and out training together. Like the remote training's great, and everybody is keeping themselves ticking over. But there's nothing that compares to having that collective session and everybody there, and the fun that goes along with it as well. And it's nice also that we have our season mapped out, and you have regular games week in, week out, and a shorter season, and it's certainly something to look forward to for all club players. And then, as the girls already mentioned, it prepares you well then heading into your county season to start come mid-September and thereafter.
Absolutely. Laura, excuse my ignorance on this one. Is Sarah still involved?
Yeah, Sarah's still involved. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So you've been going a few years now, the two of you.
Yeah, we've been going a few years together. She might retire with me when I go as well, maybe.
And that love of football that you have, both of you, where did that stem from? Was there football in the family or a sporting background there?
Yeah, well, I have 7 siblings, so
Wow, busy
there was
house.
always, competition at home, never mind anywhere else. But all my brothers and sisters would have played when they were very young. And my 2 brothers would have been on the county panel at different stages throughout their careers. So I suppose we were always, there was not much else to do out in the countryside in Wicklow but kick a football against the wall or at each other. So, we've always had that competition, and just always just stemmed from there. So was the love of it, yeah.
And you still have it, very much so. Shannon, what was the background for your good self?
I actually only started playing Gaelic football there about 4 years ago.
Wow.
I was playing rugby all through college and basketball before that. So I came home from UL and there was no rugby team. So I joined the Clans Ladies with my sister, and the rest is history, as they say. So
very good. I mean, there are obvious transferable skills between those previous sports that you would have played and ladies football, Shannon. I'm sure you've obviously taken to it like a duck to water anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what I've ever done without it. That's what I'd be thinking. No, I really, really love it. Geez, the first day I went training, I was like, how did I never? It was the Clans pitch is only around the corner for me, and I was wondering how I never encountered it before then. So.
Well done, it's great, and we'll see it for many years to come, please God. Neamh, I know that the family background is strong. There's a huge love of Gaelic games in your family.
Yeah, definitely, and I suppose if you're introduced to it at a very young age, whether you're outside with your siblings or going to watch games. I know my own father be a massive influence with me and my involvement. But as I suppose the girls mentioned there, even the community influence as well, particularly at our club level, like everybody's involved. I suppose when you're out in the countryside as well, you don't know any different. You go and you play your local games with your local club, and everybody supports everybody, whether it's the boys, the girls, the underage or the senior, and it's just a part of that GA family as such, and it's had such an influence on me from a very young age. I actually didn't have a ladies football team within our club until I was 14 years of age. So up until that point, you played along with the boys. So I think that really stood to me as well growing up, and you had to learn very quickly. But it didn't do me any harm, and I enjoyed it. And then obviously then started playing ladies football then after. And so as Shannon said, the rest is history.
The rest is very much history, and plenty more to come. Hopefully from your point of view as well, Neamh. Laura, how do you manage the sport work life balance? It's a question I often ask. I mean, it's obviously a very busy job that all 3 of you are in. Look, I guess some time off during the summer does help, but during winter training, coming into the leagues, how do you manage to combine everything? I'm sure it's not that simple.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult enough at times, but I suppose just being organised. Like sometimes I'll have to go from work straight to training. I work in Rathcoole, in County Dublin, and then I'm going to Rathdrum, which is the far side of Wicklow, for training. So it might take me an hour and a half to get there. I might have to pack my bags the night before, push them into the car, and then be gone, from 7:30 in the morning and not back till maybe 10:30 at night. So I think it's organisation and I suppose support. Then, I'm very lucky that I have people around me that, if I need support, whether it is preparing meals or, doing different bits and bobs for me, to allow me to, I suppose, go and to play and to be able to give the commitment that's needed, I suppose.
Would you prep all your meals on a weekend now ahead of a preview of the week to come, or would you be that organised?
No, I'm not that organised. Definitely not. No, I can't say I'm that organised.
Okay, is there any of the 3 would get the meals prepped? Shannon, what about yourself?
Oh, my mommy prepares all my
meals.
There
you go. There you go. Neamh, what about yourself in terms of that time management piece? Are you good on it?
Yeah, I suppose here it comes down to time management, and I think when you're playing at that level and you're working full time and all of that. You just have to, you know, it's part and parcel of it. I do prep my meals at a weekend, and also then once during the week. Again, it's probably the only way that I can manage to do it all and be, I suppose, organised. A bit like Laura, I go straight from work to training. I suppose the way I look at it, I don't waste time on the road, if that makes sense. So I stay on at work and get my planning or marking or coaching a school team, whatever the case may be, and then go on to my own training. And that way you can, I suppose, manage to keep that balance. But as the girls said, you're away early in the morning, you're home late at night, and I suppose you're just into the routine of it, and you probably don't know any different. But here we all love it, we all enjoy it, and otherwise I suppose we wouldn't be able to do it. And that's the reality of it. So long as may that continue.
For sure. Shannen, what's the thing you missed most about football during the last few months? Is it just actually getting out and playing, or is it the camaraderie of the squad and your teammates and your club mates? What was the thing that you particularly missed most or longed for again during that time?
Yeah, it was definitely meeting up with the girls and having the crack at training, and even the training themselves, like getting out with the girls. And it's hard to get yourself motivated to do them on your own. So when you know you've training and you have another 30 girls that are relying on you to be there, it's a lot easier to get out. And then, as I said, you're having the crack at training and enjoying it. So.
And Laura, for you, what were you most looking forward to again?
Oh yeah, definitely the friendships and the bit of banter that you have at training, and I suppose just then the kind of release as well. Sometimes you need to get out and clear the head, and if you've had maybe a stressful day, that you need to go out and blow off some steam. So it's definitely good for the head and good for the mind as well.
Are you in the same boat with all that, Neamh?
Yeah, I agree with all of the above. I suppose getting out, seeing the girls, having a bit of crack, just catching up on what's going on with them in their lives, and also then I suppose the competitive aspect of it. We all do our own training, but I suppose as competitors, you want to be playing those games. So we're glad we're at that stage now where there is competition to look forward to as well.
I know your squad sessions or your get-togethers on I think you might have been on Zoom or one of those apps. Neamh, they became legendary during this whole thing, but it's just I guess just being back to something, some sense of normality will be nice when county returns, and at club level you have a taste of it now already.
Yeah, that's it. And I suppose like the Zoom sessions are great, and at least you can see each other, and technically you're doing the training together, but there's simply nothing compares from actually being physically at a training venue and being there together. But as you said, the club season's up and running now, so everybody's got plenty of training and plenty of games, and they're one week after the other, which is brilliant. And I suppose it's just keeping us all ticking along and getting us back to playing football and trying to get our fitness levels up. And as the girls mentioned there, you can be fit, but there's nothing prepares you for the bruises and the aches and the pains after the first contact training session and contacting game. So it'll take us a wee while, but we'll all get there.
Absolutely. Shannen, I'm sure the S&C program, you each had your individual programs, or how hard is it to get motivated to do all of that stuff on your own? And obviously when you're in that group environment or in the gym with a few girls or on the pitch doing the sprints and the runs, that there is that real life accountability, whereas if you're at home, the only person you've got to answer to really is yourself.
Yeah. Well, I also have my sister to answer to as well. So
well, that was a help, obviously.
The both of us sort of kept each other motivated, and if I wasn't in the mood for training, she'd ring me and she'd say, right, are you ready? Will we go for a run, or will we do maybe a workout or whatever? And then we did have our lead workouts twice a week, all throughout the pandemic. So it was great to have those, just like a set time that we knew that we had to be there, similar enough to our training. It was just an element of a routine, I suppose, that we didn't see much of throughout the lockdown period.
Absolutely. Sarah and was Sarah the very same with you? Were you pulling each other along there for a while?
Sometimes, yeah. Well, we actually don't live together now anymore, so we can't rely on each other as much. But definitely, in terms of the running and stuff like that, we'd meet up and go for, drag each other out for, I suppose, a few runs. Yeah.
Final question to you all. Neamh, what would success look like for Tyrone in this championship that's coming up? Bearing in mind that you got out of the group last year and got to a quarter final, what's acceptable, or what are the goals for 2020?
Realistically, I suppose you always want to go one better than what went before. So last year we got to an All-Ireland quarter-final. Obviously this year there isn't quarter-finals. As we mentioned, we have a very competitive group with ourselves, Armagh and Mayo. So success for me would be reaching a semi-final at least. It's certainly within our capability. Within, I suppose, the strength and depth that we have within our squad. But then that, the other two teams will stay the exact same, and everybody is in with a real chance there of qualifying from that group. But if we're looking at success and how we're measuring success, then I would say an All-Ireland semi-final certainly is the benchmark.
Yeah, so it's a good bar to aim for, because obviously the top team in each group will go through. So to get there, you're going to have to top that group, and we wish you well. Shannen, for Louth, is it consolidation, or do you have your eyes on something bigger in this intermediate championship?
Oh, definitely. Like, I suppose you play to win, I suppose. So I think it's important that we take it one game at a time and focus on the first game and just make a good account of ourselves and really put it up to both teams that we have. Like Westmeath and Longford are both serious teams, so it'll be interesting games, and I'm really looking forward to them, to getting out with the girls. And
no, I wish you well, Shannen. And Laura, yourself, what does success look like for Wicklow? Is it to get back up, as we chatted about earlier?
Yeah, the goal is obviously to get back up to the intermediate status. But look, we know that we're going to have a very difficult time of trying to achieve those goals. So I suppose the first thing is getting to that All-Ireland final, and then, on that day anything can happen. It's about who manages the day and the stress, I suppose, a little bit better and can go out and express themselves, because all teams can play football. So it's about whoever, I suppose, manages that day and I suppose gets to rub the green on the day as well.
Yeah, we wish you all well. Great to have you on today. So my guests today, Shannen McLaughlin, top left, vice captain of Louth, Laura Hogan, Wicklow captain, and Neamh Woods, Tyrone captain. From ourselves, guys, wish you all the very best in the upcoming championships, and we will be in touch. And thanks for coming on today.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.